Part 17. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 161. Chapter 161, 161, Being Targeted. The strength of this ghost is stronger than what I have seen before. If I compare it, I can only say that it is even more powerful than the Mao Zheng I encountered before. The most difficult thing to deal with is that this kind of thing is still erratic. It is definitely not as good as Mao Zheng to deal with it. Easy. In addition, this villa seems to be his home base, which makes it even more difficult to deal with. Shen Yun glanced over there a few times, then turned his attention to the villa next to it. It seemed that there were a lot of things hidden inside, so he had no choice but to go in and find out. Maybe he could find the research institute's home this time. How about it, if you tell me, I'll take you in and have a look, Fu Wen seduced from the side. If you show your courtesy for nothing, you are either a traitor or a thief. Shen Yun did not look like he was crying with gratitude as he imagined, but he still looked unpretentious. Don't think that you can make a career after entering this villa. It's not as easy as you think to get a foothold here. It's so shameless. Don't come and beg me in the future. Fu Wen saw that Shen Yun still had this attitude and finally couldn't bear it anymore. His face changed, and he lowered his voice and spoke to Shen Yun. I really thought you were a tortoise, you are so tolerant. Shen Yun looked at him like this and chuckled. This directly made Fu Wen angry, feeling that Shen Yun, a newly arrived country girl, was also looking down on him. Stand up and sweep the flower pots on the table under the table. Young Master 6, what's wrong? This voice attracted the attention of the bodyguard in black next to him, and a man came over and asked. Fu Wen's originally ugly face suddenly changed. It's okay, I accidentally slipped my hands, go ahead and get busy. Okay, then you continue, I won't call anyone to disturb you. Master, please take the broken flower pot away later. Seeing Fu Wen say this, the black-clothed security guard nodded and said, that natural look, it seems he didn't regard Fu Wen as his master. Shen Yun noticed that although Fu Wen had a smile on his face, his fists covered under the sleeves of his suit were clenched tightly. How humiliated he must have been before he would use all means to climb up. Sure enough, there must be something hateful about the poor people. After Fu Wen watched the bodyguards in black leave, he took a few deep breaths, gave up the idea of having a relationship with Shen Yun, and walked directly towards the villa with the broken flower pot. Shen Yun did not use his spiritual consciousness easily again, that the ghosts are still around here. Shen Yun is not sure whether he can sense the divine consciousness even though he is in a spiritual body. However, the main purpose of coming here is not Fu Wen. The current Fu Wen city is not as deep as the back. Shen Yun thinks that he can deal with this person. Put it first and then later. The same method of using ghosts is used. I don't know if the Fu family has any connection with the immortal god. But think about the ring I got from Jiao Weihe, and then think about whether Fu Wen sent him to the research laboratory. The one in the research laboratory is the same. There is a cross in the middle of the ring, and there are messy graphics engraved on it. It can be determined that the two are definitely connected. I don't know if the Fu family is the boss behind it, or if it is the result of the alliance between the Fu family and other forces. Anyway, Shen Yun wanted to explore something this time. Looking at the ghosts who were gradually retreating and Fu Wen walking into the villa, Shen Yun also stood up. Walking around in small steps, the security guard next to him didn't stop him. The study is located on the second floor, in the middle of the entire building, and the location is protected. The view from the study is very good, but there is a layer of paper on the glass, making it difficult to see what is going on inside. The whole villa has 4 floors, and the floors are very high. It is not easy to walk up to get in, and it is even harder to walk down. There are not only thorns planted down there, but there are security guards patrolling next to them. They are not ordinary security guards like the one next to him. Shen Yun looked carefully. They are all security guards with some cultivation, the least are at the 2nd level of Qi training, the highest are at the 5th level of Qi training. Security guards use cultivators. Are cultivators so worthless in this place? Shen Yun thought carefully. Since these security guards are so powerful, their boss is probably not a simple person either. Not only has strength, but also controls a large number of spiritual stones in his hands. When this spiritual energy does not revive, it has indeed captured the lifeblood of these cultivators. On the first day, no one else came to talk to Shen Yun. In the evening, Shen Yun was assigned to the concierge position. A small warehouse was vacant there, and Shen Yun was placed directly in it. "Boss, I don't have time to see you today, please stay here." Honestly, the security guard in black directly pushed Shen Yun into the small house. Although it was said to be a warehouse, there was a bed inside. Shen Yun sat there honestly like a scared little girl. An unusually conspicuous black figure stood in the air next to him. It was the ghost I saw in the morning. I didn't see this thing all afternoon, so why did it stare at me again at night? Shen Yun just pretended that he didn't know what this thing was here and what to do. When the sky gradually turned white, the thing left this place. After noticing that the cold feeling in the room had dissipated, Shen Yun opened his eyes. If I hadn't met the boss of the Fu family, I wouldn't have dared to act rashly, and I wouldn't have waited here all night. There is nothing unusual over there. I stared there all night and found nothing. Lao he returned to the study and reported to Boss Fu. Okay, as long as it's nothing unusual, Fang Qin's work is becoming more and more unreliable. Now is a tense time, so I brought people here directly. If it weren't for the time when we need people, you go directly to deal with the person tonight. I don't want to see irrelevant people here. Boss Fu's voice sounded without any ripples. Suddenly there was a knock on the door outside, and Mr. Fu frowned involuntarily. "Boss, this is Xiao He. I just got a call from the mainland mine, saying something happened there." The voice outside sounded along with the knock on the door. Hearing what people outside said, Mr. Fu started walking directly outside. "What's going on?" "I just received a call from Lao San, saying that something happened to the mine over there. Except for those few mine tunnels, the spiritual stones in other places have been hollowed out. Now even if we dig out all the spiritual stones inside, more than 100 at most." Xiao He quickly explained the situation. "How could this happen?" Boss Fu looked angry and slapped the solid wood guardrail of the corridor to pieces. "Lao San said he was investigating and the people inside have been controlled." Xiao He said quickly. "Go and call everyone here." Mr. Fu closed the study door and walked downstairs. Xiao He responded and hurried down to find someone. Something big had happened. The mine of an estimated 100,000 spiritual stones had been emptied out. Now Xiaqin was about to finish playing. At this time, Shen Yun was sitting in the room. After a while, he saw a car rushing towards the door and several people running in. His consciousness couldn't help but explore into the villa. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 162. Chapter 162. Chapter 163, 162, Kill the chicken to scare the monkey. In the grand living room, a low-pressure middle-aged man sat, with a circle of people standing next to him. They looked at the people who continued to walk in at the door. It was obvious that not everyone attending the meeting had arrived yet. Shen Yun's consciousness hid in a higher field of view and began to observe the strength of the group of people below. Leaving aside the strength of his men, if the middle-aged man sitting there guessed correctly, he should be Boss Fu. He is majestic and has extraordinary momentum. A closer look revealed that the person's strength was also very strong. When Chen Yun took a closer look, he couldn't see through the strength. However, with his restrained look, his cultivation level was similar to his own even though he was not above him. Shen Yun, who was sitting in the concierge, took a deep breath. This was something she had not expected. She didn't know if the other party had noticed her consciousness, so she was careful not to move it. Thinking about the fact that the Fu family could discover such a large spiritual stone mine on the mainland, it cannot be said that the family has not discovered it elsewhere before. With such high strength, he should have thought of it. Thinking again about the people he met in the research institute who used the spiritual energy of living people to supplement the upper management of the research institute, and what happened with Jiaweha earlier. If the Fu family is the founder of the research institute and is still connected with the god of immortality, then it is normal for his cultivation level to be so high. Chen Yun's consciousness noticed the 4 people standing on the right. These 4 people looked a bit similar to Boss Fu. They should be related by blood. The 3 standing on the left were closely in the posture of guarding. They were also stronger than the right side is much stronger. There are many people with good cultivation standing next to them, both high and low. Shen Yun saw the unpopular Fu Wen in the corner. If the whole room were to be dispatched, Shen Yun really couldn't guarantee that he would be able to escape unscathed without using the space. His consciousness did not move anymore, and he concentrated on what was going on in calling so many people over for the meeting. Seeing that no one was passing by the door anymore, Shen Yun knew that the meeting inside was about to begin. Xiao He, please tell me again what happened on the 3rd brother's phone call, Boss Fu said in a calm voice, as if a storm was about to come. Everyone around him listened to Xiao He's words with serious faces. Shen Yun was also surprised when he heard what Xiao He said. I didn't expect that the 3rd child would discover something was wrong in the mine so quickly. Brother Liang obviously didn't notice it after being down there for so long. Could it be that someone else dug the mine? It's not right. When I left, I used magic to restore the scattered stones on the ground. Ordinary people who mine underground will not find any spiritual stones for a while. You will find that the entire underground spiritual stone has been evacuated by yourself. That's not right. I went over to test it before I came here. There are still a lot of spiritual stone reserves in the ground. How can I say it's gone if it's gone? Fang Qin suddenly became anxious when she heard what Xiao He said, and the sweat on her face couldn't help but it just flowed down. It is impossible for tens of thousands of spirit stones to disappear instantly. It will definitely take time. That is, before I came over, someone had already started to steal the spirit stones, but I didn't notice it at all. It's over. It's over. This is what I want to ask you too. I left this matter to you and asked you to station there. Not only did you lose your things, but you also brought your people back to the port city. You clearly know that the mainland is now the situation is complicated, and you ran back to Hong Kong City. Couldn't this matter have been discussed between you and the thief? Fu Wen looked at Fang Qin and said angrily. Boss, you believe me. I have been with you for so many years, and I will definitely not betray you. After so many years, you gave me my life. If it weren't for you, I would have died a long time ago. Boss, please let me go. I will go over to investigate. I will definitely investigate this matter clearly, and find these tens of thousands of spirit stones for you. Fang Qin knelt down in front of Boss Fu in a panic. She had been thinking about it for so long when she came back this time. Nothing happened. I was planning to go back directly tonight, then I knew this was what happened. Lao San must have framed me. He has long refused to accept my control. He has always looked down on me as a woman who is higher in cultivation than him. He has also been proposing to dig out spiritual stones from the spiritual mines and use them there first. When his own strength improves, so that he can get rid of your control, boss. I was afraid that he would hide the batch of spiritual stones just returned from the road, so I decided to take the initiative to take this trip. Boss, he can't do this alone. He must have betrayed you and cooperated with people from the mainland. Boss, we need to send people over quickly to seize the mine, otherwise these spiritual stones will be a pity. Fang Qin just wants to save his own life. As for the third child, I can only say who prevents him from being in front of the boss now. The third child is rebellious, Fu asked with a frown. Yeah, if you don't believe it, ask the other brothers. The third brother said that he would give some benefits to the brothers and improve everyone's cultivation. Even if he didn't mean to betray, he was not well-intentioned. He clearly knew that these spiritual stones were owned by the boss. But I still want to secretly embezzle spirit stones while you don't know the specific output, boss. This is not to increase my strength and betray you, but what else do I want to do? Fang Qin said quickly. Do you think that's the case? Mr. Fu turned to ask a few people kneeling on the ground next to him, all of whom had returned this time. Several people did not dare to raise their heads under the pressure of Boss Fu. Their sweat was like running water, and the unknown liquid discharged from their bodies flowed to the ground. Everyone who saw it was disgusted. Boss, the third child did say this, but he was rejected by Sister Qin. It's useless for us to ask for spiritual stones. We will definitely not agree to what he did. Several of them are ordinary people, but they are more skilled than others. Many of them have no cultivation qualifications, so the spirit stones in their hands are not yet useful. The spirit stone there is a gamble on one's own life. Of course they will not be stupid enough to ask for such a life-threatening thing. So, the call from the third child was just to lie to me. He was just trying to make me give up the Lingxi mine and swallow the tens of thousands of yuan, Boss Fu said with a gloomy look on his face. It must be, boss. I'll take a few people over to bring the third child back. You, the boss of the Lingxi mine, have also gone over to see it? It's impossible to finish digging up the Lingxi in a few days. It's impossible. It's impossible, Fang Qin said quickly when she saw that Boss Fu believed her words. No matter what, leaving your post without permission is the only way, Boss Fu said and flicked his hand, and an ice pick penetrated Fang Qin's head. The man fell down quietly. When Boss Fu made a move, everyone around him immediately became so angry that they didn't even dare to speak out. Shen Yun outside also saw his cultivation clearly, and he had reached the great perfection of foundation establishment, just like himself. No wonder he couldn't see his cultivation. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 163. Chapter 163. Chapter 164, 163, Why the only way to relieve worries is to get rich suddenly. Brother, what should I do now? The only one I can contact over there is the third child, otherwise, my brother will take you for a trip. These are tens of thousands of spiritual stones, which is not a small amount. I promise that I will do my best to recover our family's losses. The person standing next to me said thoughtfully. Second brother, we all know what kind of person you are. You are very busy every day. Why do you become so active when encountering such a thing? You must be trying to monopolize your elder brother's things. Fu stood next to him. The third child said with a sneer. Fu Lao-san, please be careful what you say. We are all from the same mother. If you miss your brother so much, you are vicious and sowing discord. Fu Lao scolded sternly. Second brother, third brother, don't argue. We are all a family. It is obligatory for the eldest brother to ask anyone to go through this matter. Anyway, several brothers have the ability, so it is good for you to go. The youngest person standing next to him is he persuaded like a peacemaker. Boss Fu turned to look at his younger brothers who had their own plans, and sneered. Before he died, these people wanted to come over and divide his family property. Sure enough, he was too busy to care about them during this period. They regarded him as his own. They began to recuperate, and Fang Qin, who was lying underground, couldn't teach them a lesson. It seemed that his ambitions were indeed inflated. Logically speaking, I have to let my brothers go over this matter before I can rest assured. However, you guys all have big families and I don't dare bother you to make this trip. You are all here today and I haven't talked to you yet. It's nothing, go to the old man and be filial. Brother is still young and has no need for you. Boss Fu looked like he was taking it in good faith. Brother, my younger brother doesn't have a career, so he just follows his eldest brother. What do you think about this matter? Let me go with that brother. My younger brother has never been out of the port city in so many years, and he has never done anything big. I just want to go out and experience things. Of course, only a general like Uncle Xiang is suitable for going there. It was much easier for Uncle He to go there. Listening to what Boss Fu said, Fu Wen, who was standing behind the crowd, finally squeezed in. He went in and said, Boss Fu is afraid of the other brothers, but he has no fear of Fu Wen. After all, he has been here all day long and is not even as good as his own housekeeper. He can only do odd jobs. What is his ability? Hearing Fu Wen's words, he looked over intently, but still weighed it in his mind. He didn't feel bad if he let such an insignificant person pass, even if it hurt him, and he was sure that he couldn't escape from his grasp. Boss Fu looked at the room full of confidants, and then at the brothers who were an eyesore next to him. He unexpectedly felt that Fu Wen's proposal was not bad. Okay, I'll ask Lao He to go with you, and I'll allocate 10 more brothers to you. You can take them with you. If the situation is as Lao San said, then try your best to investigate, and don't alert the snake. If the third child really rebels, deal with it directly, and then you take over the spirit stone mine and dig out the spirit stones and bring them back as soon as possible. Don't worry, if these things are done, I will not treat you badly when you come back. I hope you will not let me down. Of trust. Boss Fu said with a pair of tiger eyes staring at Fu Wen closely. Brother, don't worry, I will definitely report the situation at any time, and I will follow your orders when the time comes. Fu Wen quickly expressed his sincerity. Shen Yun heard the situation outside and gave up his decision to deal with Fu Wen at this time. Anyway, he could not find him if he went to the mainland. If calculated according to calculations, Shen Hong and the others would have escaped from Lao San by now. Even if they went to check again, they would at most suspect that there was something wrong with a few of them, but they would definitely not be able to find out where the spirit stone was. Once a person is stranded on the mainland, people from the special department may be smart enough to arrest him before he can go back. The most important thing is to explore this place first while there are few people in Fu's house. Brother, without further ado, I'll set off now and bring the spirit stone back as soon as possible. This way, the strength of our Fu family can be further improved. Fu Wen didn't expect to get this task so easily. I thought in my heart that I must handle it well and let my elder brother look at me differently in the future. Then in the future, if you open up the Fu family's cultivation techniques to yourself, you will be able to embark on the road to immortality. Fu Wen waved his hand, and 10 people suddenly came out next to him. Shen Yun noticed that 2/3 of the people in the 5th level of Qi training in the room had come out, and the rest were those with relatively low cultivation levels. Boss Fu also spent a lot of money on this spiritual stone mine. It seems that he is not so calm. This spiritual mine is still very important to the Fu family. Lao He. Boss Fu shouted again towards the study room on the 2nd floor. Then Shen Yun noticed the ghost appeared, and before he had time to think about it, Shen Yun directly withdrew his consciousness. It turns out that the dark figure hiding in the study on the 2nd floor is this Lao He. If he leaves, the chance of him getting in will be even greater. Shen Yun thought that he would definitely doubt himself after recalling it, so he might as well hide it first and come back later. Thinking about it, he stood up and walked out. What are you doing? You're not allowed to walk around. The black-clothed security guard at the concierge saw Shen Yun's actions and immediately scolded him. I want to go to the toilet. I'm not used to the one inside. Can I go to the woods over there to solve the problem? Shen Yun looked very anxious. As expected, he is a bumpkin from a small place. Hurry up and stay away. The security guard in black heard what Shen Yun said. He didn't suspect anything, after all, he was like this when he first entered the city. Now when he saw Shen Yun's anxious look, he immediately said with disgust on his face. Shen Yun didn't expect that. He walked out so smoothly and walked quickly into the woods. When he was no longer visible outside, he ducked into the space. Feeling the increasingly rich spiritual energy in the space, Shen Yun took a deep breath. Sure enough, he found wealth in danger. He was right to dig up the entire spiritual stone mine. This empty space was like taking a Shiquan pill. The spiritual plants throughout the space are becoming more and more vibrant. The vegetables, fruits, and grains grown naturally are becoming more and more juicy and plump with each crop. Shen Yun saw the mountains of spiritual stones over there and couldn't help but walk over. The only way to relieve worries is to get rich suddenly. The things I was worried about outside just now feel like they are nothing now. Watching the little jumping turtle happily rolling on the spiritual stone bird's nest, Shen Yun found it adorable. After walking around and feeling that the whole space was prosperous, Shen Yun also took the Qingfeng sword and began to practice. During this period, his cultivation level has grown very quickly, but his sword skills have improved since he did not have a lot of time to practice. Not much. Chaos sword technique has only been practiced to the 4th level. The further you go, the harder it gets. If you want to make progress, you can only spend a lot of time practicing. As for the opportunity of enlightenment, it is rare. Shen Yun has thought about it, but only once. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 164. While Shen Yun was practicing in the space, the meeting outside the Fu family mansion also ended. Fu Wen packed some things and headed directly towards the mainland with 10 people. By the way, here's the girl Fang Qin brought back from outside. Bring her here. I heard that she has also been staying in the spirit mine for a long time. Boss Fu sent away everyone who was on a mission and who was watching the excitement. Just then I remembered Shen Yun, who was originally going to be killed. After Lao He left, he pulled her over directly and asked her if she was of no value, then go and keep Fang Qin company. Boss, the person at the door said that the person went to the toilet just now and has not come back. When the person who came to the door to look for someone heard that the person had not come back, he immediately asked someone to look for him and came over to report to Boss Fu. He ran away. Mr. Fu looked at the person in front of him, the overwhelming anger in his tone could no longer be concealed. My subordinates are not doing their job well, and I didn't expect that a little girl from the countryside could slip away under my nose. What are these things for? Whoever was watching the person at the door just now, let them find him quickly. If he can't be found, let him come over and apologize, Boss Fu said manically. Yes, the person below quickly responded and ran towards the door quickly. Everyone is a waste and can't do anything. Mr. Fu left these words and walked directly to the study upstairs. As soon as he entered the study and entered the compartment, Fang Qin, who was already dead, was lying in the room this time. Mysterious patterns were carved on the walls of the entire room. Looking more and more weird. Shen Yun here doesn't know that people outside have launched a wanted order for her. She is practicing vigorously in the space now. After using a set of sword skills, although there is no progress, I feel that my body skills have become much smoother. Shen Yun thought about the strength of these people outside, and continued to practice without stopping. He also drew a lot of talismans in the gaps. This is the most energy-saving attack spell. I have drawn a lot of exorcism talismans and prepared some thunder talismans. This time Shen Yun drew 2 new talismans, a calming talisman that can make people lose control of their bodies. Another type of escape talisman can hide a person's body and movement. In the past, when his cultivation level was low, he could not draw many talismans. Now that his cultivation level has improved, he can draw more kinds of talismans. Shen Yun chose two. I drew several pictures of the most useful talisman this time. Elixirs have also been prepared. Anyway, no matter how powerful the opponent is, Shen Yun is fully prepared. I came out of the space early on the third day, put an escape talisman on myself, and approached the Fu family directly. On the way, he encountered several waves of people walking into the forest. They were probably going in to look for him, but they were all ordinary people. Shen Yun carefully avoided them and did not cause any commotion. There are still no clues. This person probably died in the mountains and forests. There is no body or life, so what is the background of this woman? You can still hear people passing by talking about themselves. Su, don't talk about her. The boss has been very unhappy about this matter in the past 2 days. Let's just work hard. Otherwise, we won't be able to eat this bowl of rice by then. It's not like you don't know how many capable people there are around the boss. Even the dead Lao, he came out to grab food from us. It's really scary, the man said and tightened his clothes. Shen Yun stood aside and watched the two people walking away in a hurry. Without stopping, he walked directly towards the huge villa in front. There were a lot more people standing guard and patrolling at the entrance of the villa. They were still well educated this time, and the situation inside was the same as before. Shen Yun quietly climbed over the courtyard wall and landed in the courtyard, avoiding the patrolling people and dodged directly through the gate. In his spiritual consciousness, this house was very tall, but he didn't expect that it would be even more difficult to see it after entering. The tall top was made of fine materials. If he looked carefully, there was a complicated formation engraved on it. Shen Yun studied it. Only then did I discover that it was a chi gathering array. This formation is not simple. Most cultivators only use the formation to draw some spirit gathering formations for practice. Chi gathering formations like this are more complicated. I saw this in the talismans given by Zhang Qing'an. In an era when spiritual energy dissipates, this formation can not only gather spiritual energy, but also yin energy and demonic energy. It is generally used for demonic or ghost cultivation. However, it is also recorded in the book that this has been passed down for many years and is no longer accurate. It is only a rough pattern and cannot be used successfully. Therefore, Zhang Qing'an included it in the Encyclopedia of Talismans just to provide future generations with insights. But how did Zhang Qing'an know that this formation would definitely not work? He must have experimented with it himself. It is hard to say whether he taught Jiaowiha back then. When Zhang Qing'an taught him, he said that he had seen a person with extraordinary talents. Could this person be Jiaowiha? Where did Jiaowiha go after disappearing for so many years? Did he come to Hong Kong City? These were Shen Yun's thoughts the moment he saw this formation. Seeing the mixed spiritual energy, yin energy, and some mixed gases gathered from the top quickly dissipating into the air, Shen Yun became even more careful. A formation master was involved in the construction of this house. Who knew there was something else inside? There are formations that you can't even notice. There was nothing special on the first floor, so Shen Yun went directly to the second floor. There are only a few rooms on the entire second floor, and Mr. Fu should be the only owner here. There is no one in the room that the spiritual consciousness can enter. It is just like an ordinary person's room. There is nothing special about it. Shen Yun went directly to the door of the study. There were mysterious patterns engraved inside, which seemed to be able to deal with divine consciousness. However, Fang Qin and the others did not have any special reaction when they entered. Shen Yun didn't open the door rashly. Who knew if Boss Fu was inside? If he faced him and summoned all the cultivators in the villa, the gain would outweigh the loss. Shen Yun had prepared a lot for the escape talisman this time, and she was going to sneak in with them while waiting outside. Standing on a high place and looking downstairs, there was no one in the living room downstairs at this time. Shen Yun took a closer look and discovered something that his consciousness had not discovered that day. The furnishings in the entire living room downstairs were very loose. It was not like the normal strict and neat arrangement, but it was like the chairs were not neatly arranged after the guests left. Shen Yun recalled the positions of Boss Fu's men that day. The people standing in the special positions were all with higher cultivation levels. Although the people sent out at that time were all powerful, the people in these positions did not move. Combining the people sitting there, as well as Boss Fu and the people standing around him, Shen Yun suddenly discovered something different. Think carefully about some of the information books I read when studying archaeology. The arrangement of this formation is like the Anu formation used in ancient battles. Boss Fu's position must be protected inside. If someone attacks, there will be a blocker in front. The person standing behind him is not the door, but the door facing the study room on the second floor. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 165. With Boss Fu's ability, he can reach the height of the second floor with a light jump, which means that he must have some backup plan or some kind of escape route in this study. Now that Lao He has been sent out, it is very likely that this person is not Lao He. Shen Yun didn't expect that a person with such a high level of cultivation as Boss Fu would be so cautious in meetings. People who care about their lives are not easy to deal with. Shen Yun stood aside and calmed down the aura on his body. Although he had used the escape talisman now, he could not be careless. People had made so many preparations in their own lair. As an outsider, he had to be more careful. Shen Yun didn't wait long when he saw a person hurriedly walking in from below, walking hurriedly towards the second floor. Shen Yun saw him opening the door and chose a location where it was easy to get in. This man knocked on the door, and sure enough, there was a voice calling to come in. Fortunately, he didn't open the door rashly and go in. If he had gone in, wouldn't he be face to face with the person directly? The man only felt a gust of wind appear around him, and then it disappeared. He thought it was brought up the moment he opened the door, and didn't think much about it. What happened? Did you find that girl? Boss Fu opened his eyes and asked the person who just came in. Boss, this hasn't happened yet. After saying this, the man felt a little nervous and quickly continued, it's a matter of the Du family. Du family, Boss Fu thought for a while before he remembered which Du family it was. A small wealthy family, I used to care a little about it, but now I don't need to care too much. Yes, boss, the only son is not dead and is back. As you know, his father had many friends before his death. Now many people support him to get back the Du family's property. This makes Mr. Tang very passive. He will waiting outside the villa. I don't know if you want to see him, the man said quickly. Here, Shen Yun quickly found a place and stood quietly. He heard this man say that someone was looking for Boss Fu, and his heart moved. Wouldn't this opportunity come? No, don't bother me with such an insignificant disappearance next time. Mr. Fu waved his hand and said with a bad face. Boss, he said he has important news to tell you, the man said calmly. What's the news? Boss Fu asked. He said he wouldn't tell him until he saw you. The man's voice became smaller and smaller, for fear that Boss Fu, who was sitting over there, would be unhappy and kill him. Hearing what this man said, Mr. Fu's anger suddenly rose. Boss, don't be angry. I remember that the person named Du was taken to the mainland by Fang Qin before. Why did he appear again now? I didn't hear that the person named Du ran away at that time. With Fang Qin's temperament, I guess at that time, I will take Du Chuao to the Lingxi mine. Do you think the matter at the Lingxi mine has something to do with this person named Du? When the man saw Boss Fu looking straight at him, he was forced to retreat due to the aura. He knelt on the ground in 2 steps and put aside his guess. When Boss Fu heard this, he realized that it was really possible. Fang Qin had liked people named Du before, and he had entrusted the person to her. It was difficult to guarantee that she had not directly killed the person, but had taken good care of him. Otherwise, it would be unexplainable how Du Chuao, who was seriously injured at the time, came back alive. You go over first and ask the people who came back with Fang Qin about the specific situation there. I'll go over and meet Tang Suo. And Boss Fu finally stood up. Okay, boss, the man responded and quickly walked outside. Boss Fu didn't know what to do in there, so he pondered for a while before closing the door and walking out. Shen Yun waited for a while and saw that there was really no movement in the room, then he started to move. As soon as he walked to the place where Boss Fu was grinding, Shen Yun realized that he seemed to be exposed. This guy just set up a small formation here, and now he is trapped in a trap. Sure enough, even if you are careful, you are still careless. I really didn't expect that this person could see through his disguise. He was very careful when he came in, but he still had his eyes closed when he entered. How did he find out? Shen Yun was confused for a moment, and then he took the time to find what he wanted to see, and carefully observed the layout of the room. It was a normal study room with a large bookshelf and a large solid wood desk. The strange thing is the messy lines on the entire wall. Shen Yun took a closer look and realized that it was still changing at this time. Shen Yun glanced at it and withdrew his eyes. Looking at the yin qi gradually seeping in from the bookshelf, he planned to trap himself here, use the yin qi to kill himself, and then use this yin qi formation to turn himself into a puppet. Shen Yun glanced at the formation that was gradually changing on the wall. This formation was quite powerful and could be controlled by others. The last time my consciousness tried to come in, this thing attacked me. This time it was indeed worth the trip. Shen Yun covered himself with a layer of spiritual energy, which directly blocked the increasing yin energy in the air. Let's first check the entire formation along its route. This is a yin gathering formation, which is similar to the qi gathering formation outside. But something very strange is that part of this formation is hidden behind the bookshelf. Shen Yun took a closer look at the bookshelf. There were some ordinary books on it. He flipped through it quickly and found that they were all ordinary books and did not record anything extraordinary. Shen Yun was thinking about the formation lines hidden behind the bookshelf, and wanted to find out if there was any secret room behind it. Before I was about to move, I noticed the door handle moving. Shen Yun was stunned. He came back so quickly. Was he sure that he had been subdued? Shen Yun reacted quickly and hid directly in the spot where he had just been hiding. The escape talisman on his body has not lost its function yet. Find someone to get Du Chuao over to me immediately. He must know the whereabouts of the spirit stone, Boss Fu said as he opened the door. Yes, then Shen Yun heard the footsteps outside going away. Boss Fu walked into the room. The yin energy that had begun to increase in the room was instantly sucked into the bookshelf, and the graphics on the wall began to change again. Shen Yun was stunned for a moment. Could it be that he hadn't been discovered? This was a unique setting in the room. Shen Yun felt more and more that there was something terrible in this room. Then I saw Boss Fu going to the place where the trap array was placed and playing with it a few more times, and then the trap array in the entire room disappeared. Under the operation of Boss Fu, the bookshelf at the back was also opened directly. Different from the mountains of spiritual stones he imagined, the entire secret room did not look like a scene in the human world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 166. The entire secret room was filled with gloomy air and looked cloudy. There are still some human bodies standing inside that don't look like living people, and a blood-red formation is carved on the wall. Boss Fu walked in and blended in perfectly. Shen Yun carefully got closer and found that Boss Fu was writing and drawing on the lying man. Shen Yun looked at the strong yin energy inside and did not dare to praise it easily. He only stood outside and watched carefully. Lying over there is the dead Fang Qin. What Boss Fu is depicting is a puppet formation. Shen Yun turned around and looked at the few people standing next to him. The puppet formations on these people had been drawn. The yin qi in this compartment was constantly eroding towards the corpses over there. Shen Yun looked at the hairy corpse. This was a refined and fiery puppet. It looked a bit like the Mao Zone he had seen in the West Village. What exactly does this person want to do, to create a group of underworld soldiers to completely rule the world? Shen Yun looked at the large number of puppets placed in the compartment and fell into deep thought. This conjecture is not impossible. After all, the total number of experimental subjects in the institute in the previous life was tens of thousands. If it wasn't for its great strength, why hadn't it been destroyed yet? Shen Yun looked at the yin qi inside and felt a little anxious. If I blow up this place today, then everything else will be lost. Shen Yun was about to make a move when he saw the puppet inside moved, and it was still moving towards him. Have you already mastered this thing? Boss Fu inside also noticed the puppet's strange movements immediately. His expression was completely different from Shen Yun's. He was happy this time. I practiced it. I finally mastered it. No one can stop me now. Boss Fu said a little crazy inside. One by one, the babies seemed to be looking at the things standing inside. But the inferi that had just moved jumped straight in the direction of Shen Yun. He should have sensed the scent of other strangers except Boss Fu. Shen Yun saw Boss Fu who was about to look this way when he heard the sound, so he decided to strike first. 2 heavenly thunder talismans were thrown out. The heavenly thunder talisman passed through the invisible barrier that blocked the yin qi, and flew directly to the newly trained puppet. It suddenly crackled and crackled. Coupled with the thick yin qi inside, the thunder and lightning it spreads directly along the yin qi inside. An ice cone came directly from the lightning towards his seat. It seems that the thunder talisman he just threw exposed his position. It's a pity that Shen Yun had already quickly changed his attack position when the sky thunder talisman was thrown out. After all, there are so many puppets standing inside. Who knows if they are from the same batch as this one who can move, so it is better to be cautious. Moreover, there is also a Boss Fu who is similar to himself in cultivation. Although Shen Yun decided to try his best to kill this demon today. I was stabbed in my old nest, but I didn't want to get hurt myself. With a green peak in one hand and a talisman in the other, they attacked the position where the ice pick came out. With the effort of the two of them, the yin qi inside was almost consumed by the thunder and lightning. When Shen Yun was about to attack, he saw a row of puppets with blood on their heads attacking him. Shen Yun could clearly feel that these puppets were not as strong as the one just now. It should be Boss Fu who used his own blood to wake him up. He was directly fighting against these inhuman things, and he had to be prepared for the attack from Boss Fu at any time. Shen Yun was a little glad that he had prepared in advance before coming in. Now the Thunder Talisman and the Exorcism Talisman can come in handy. They are the nemesis of these things. Shen Yun uses the talisman first, and then adds more. The sword did not consume much of his strength. Who are you, and what are your plans to sneak into my place? Boss Fu watched Shen Yun face a group of puppets with overwhelming force, and he also used talismans. The debt caused by that person must have been directly found on his head. Shen Yun did not respond to his interest. He dodged several ice picks and directly eliminated the last moving puppet. Attack towards Boss Fu. Although Boss Fu himself uses yin qi as his subordinates, he himself practices with spiritual qi. He doesn't know many spells. He should have figured them out by himself, but they are not as powerful as Shen Yun imagined. Jumped up directly, avoiding the ice on the ground, and a sea of fire directly attacked Boss Fu. The flames hit the ice wall on his side, and a pool of water instantly appeared on the ground. Shen Yun did not stop, and directly used the thunder technique. The thunder followed the water and attacked directly towards Boss Fu, although he finally reacted to avoid it. He passed by, but the formation on the wall behind him was split open by lightning, and the yin qi that was constantly entering inside suddenly stopped entering. Who are you? You hide your head and hide your tail. If you have offended me before, then we can sit down and talk. I like to make friends with people, and I will definitely not let you down with what I give you. Boss Fu saw it. Shen Yun was difficult to deal with and immediately changed his attitude. Shen Yun didn't believe his nonsense. Would such a person say anything to anyone? If he could beat him, he would have become a puppet in this room. The sword was slashed towards him. Although Boss Fu doesn't have many attack methods, he does have many hiding methods. The ones who suffer the consequences are a group of untrained puppets behind him. The whole room has been completely destroyed by the two people going back and forth. Boss Fu looked at the destroyed puppet and secretly resented it, but Shen Yun was using the escape talisman, and no one else saw it for a long time. Shen Yun took advantage of his inattention and swung his sword out again. Looking at Boss Fu's bleeding back, he finally had an effective attack. With results, Shen Yun became more aggressive. He couldn't beat Fu Win, so he beat his brother first. This guy wasn't a good person anyway. Shen Yun's 3 moves of swordsmanship, talismans, and spells were used together. Boss Fu's injuries became more and more serious. The walls in the entire room had been deliberately destroyed by Shen Yun. The formations no longer looked like formations and had become truly messy lines. Boss Fu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and his eyes became fiercer. Although Shen Yun couldn't be seen, he still looked fiercely at the direction of Shen Yun's attack. No matter who you are, if you want to kill me, Grandpa, just wait for the next life. Boss Fu said harsh words, and Shen Yun's thunder struck him directly, with an explosion. Boss Fu disappeared directly. Shen Yun was stunned for a moment and used the wind to blow away the smoke. I saw a big hole in the floor. Shen Yun did not catch up rashly. He explored it with his spiritual sense first and found that the hole led directly to the underground level. The underground space was very large, but Boss Fu was not seen. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 167. Shen Yun glanced at the almost destroyed room, walked directly to the edge of the hole and jumped down. As expected, there was a large basement underground. There are a lot of things stored here, but Shen Yun didn't have time to look at them. Looking alertly for Boss Fu who just jumped down. Although Shen Yun didn't find anyone with his spiritual consciousness, Shen Yun encountered several things that could resist his spiritual consciousness during this period. If he didn't search carefully this time, it would be terrible if he was attacked later when he was looking at things. I carefully walked around the basement and saw only some blood stains left by Boss Fu on the ground. No one found them at all. The blood stains also disappeared around a corner. The people who were about to be dealt with let him run away again, and Shen Yun angrily poked the ground with Qing Feng. The hard ground was stabbed directly into the hard ground like tofu meeting a knife. I pulled up the green peak and prepared to see if there was anything useful in the basement, when I found a faint light coming from the sword hole. Shen Yun was stunned. Just now, he was wondering if there would be spirit stones stored by Boss Fu in the basement. He didn't know what he was thinking. This was not in the basement, but directly in the ground. Shen Yun directly used the earth spell to dig 3 feet into the ground. The shimmering spiritual stones in the ground were all turned to the ground. There are a lot of them, almost as much as those stored in my own space. Shen Yun was not polite and directly received these spirit stones into his own space. Looking around the entire basement, Mr. Fu had collected a lot of things. Shen Yun looked at the useful things and collected them directly. He didn't know how many people this man had hurt before he got these things. It was ill-gotten gains and he could feel at ease with them. I will donate these antiques to the museum when I get back. Walking to a shelf in the corner, Shen Yun saw an inconspicuous black box. It looks inconspicuous, but the way to open it is not easy. Shen Yun has seen this thing once during archaeology in his previous life. This kind of box uses a Liban lock. If it is not opened in a specific way, the contents inside will be directly damaged. Shen Yun studied it for a while. This box should be from the same era as the box he had seen in his previous life. Thinking about how the box was opened in his previous life, Shen Yun started to operate it directly. After a while, the box was opened, and a piece of parchment exuding a strong yin aura was directly revealed. Shen Yun used something to directly open the parchment, and some words were recorded on it, but the words on it were not in his country's language. Shen Yun put it away directly and restored the box, and the yin qi was isolated by the box again. Looking at the entire basement that had been moved by him, it was empty. Shen Yun left the basement and returned to the study room. As soon as I got here, I saw the fire filling the area. Shen Yun looked through the window and saw a group of people standing there, indifferent to the fire. What a bunch of lunatics. They just burned this place down to deal with me. It seems like this point is an insignificant stronghold. I thought I had found my lair, Shen Yun muttered, and directly scraped away the things in the study. And then added a fire to the compartment. He directly controlled Qing Feng to leave this place through the window. Boss Fu, who is thousands of miles away, just wants to deal with Shen Yun as soon as possible. As for the spiritual stones in the ground, he is not afraid of fire and is hidden deep, so he has nothing to worry about. As long as a fire burned the people in the villa to death or drove them away, she would not be able to find her whereabouts. You can dig it back wherever the spirit stone is. Shen Yun, who returned home with a full load, did not leave the port city directly, but searched directly in the sky with his flying sword. In the end, Boss Fu didn't find it, but he found that the entire port city seemed to have more yin energy than the mainland, which shouldn't be the case. Could it be that the extremes of things must be reversed? The intensity of sunshine here is greater. If the yang energy is concentrated, it is normal. If the yin energy is heavy, it will be unbalanced. Shen Yun found a deserted place and stopped directly. I didn't find anything above, maybe I can see something different below. Shen Yun was like a country bumpkin who had just arrived, walking through the streets and alleys regardless of the disdainful looks of others. After walking through many streets, Shen Yun discovered the reason for the gloomy atmosphere in this place. It turned out that some businesses like to hang cloth banners on their doors. The problem was a small sign. Although many colors and shapes were different, the seal-like pattern on it is actually a small formation. This had no effect in the previous era when there was no spiritual energy, but now with the emergence of spiritual energy, yin energy also appears. This small formation is the yin gathering talisman. One has no effect, and there are too many in this place. There is more and more yin energy, and people live in such a scene all day long. Is that still okay? In the end, it is estimated that except for cultivators, everyone will die like Lao Hei and then mutate. If a large puppet refining array is added to this place, then... Thinking of this, Shen Yun took a breath. This is a cruel person. Yunyun Shen Yun was checking how many banners there were on the road when he heard someone calling this name. There was no one he knew in Hong Kong City, so Shen Yun didn't realize that he was being called. It wasn't until the person walked up to him that Shen Yun realized that this face seemed to have been seen somewhere before. Who are you? Shen Yun asked directly. I, Du Ji, the person opposite said happily. Oh, it's you. You look familiar to me. You've come to Hong Kong City too. Young man, that's good. Shen Yun dealt with it politely and looked at the other person who had risen to another level in just a few days. Shen Yun's praise was more sincere. I am from Hong Kong City. You have helped me so much. I don't know how to thank you. In this way, I will take you to dinner and buy you some clothes and other things. Just treat it as my heart. Duji was very happy to see Shen Yun. He regarded the Shen brothers and sisters as his saviors. He thought that it would be difficult to see each other after the two places were separated. Unexpectedly, he met Shen Yun just a few days after returning. By the way, you were taken over by Fang Qin, are you okay? 2 days ago, he found out that the Fu family was searching for a girl from mainland China, and he had been worried about it. Now that he saw that Shen Yun was not caught by the Fu family, he was happy. Incredible. Others are afraid of the Fu family, but he is not. They are all mortal enemies, and he doesn't care about robbing people this time. It's okay, but I can't accompany you to eat and buy things now. I have important things to do now. Bulletin Ban hasn't figured out the matter yet. What's the matter? Tell me and I'll see if I can help, Duji said quickly to the side. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 168. Shen Yun thought it right. Isn't it the right thing for locals to do this? As a foreigner who is not familiar with the place, I have been wandering here for a long time. If I hadn't seen the terrain below, I would have wandered around on my own. Have you seen these small cloth flags on the shop? Shen Yun pointed to the pattern on the shop not far away and showed it to Duji. See, is there something wrong with this? Duji asked after observing it carefully. The problem is big. You saw the small icon in the corner of this sign. It is actually a small yin gathering array. Through this array, the yin energy from the outside world will be absorbed into the city. After a long time, the yin and yang will be out of balance and the yin energy will be excessive. The result will be terrible, Shen Yun explained. Is it so serious? How much yin energy can be absorbed by this small sign? Duji felt it. There was indeed some spiritual energy mixed with yin energy in the air, but not much. There was not much when he was at home. I feel that this meeting must be because I am too close to this sign. 1 or 2 really can't affect anything, but do you know how many such signs there are in your city? Shen Yun asked. I really don't know about this, Fei Yang, do you know? Duji usually doesn't pay attention to this matter. His stores all have uniform and regular signboards. He really hasn't noticed when there are more such signs in the streets and alleys. Shop sign. I'll ask someone to investigate as soon as I get back, but this kind of retro signboard seems to be very popular recently. I heard it from others some time ago. I guess there will be a lot of this kind of signboard. When the person next to him heard Duji ask this, he immediately gave a response. Hearing what the other party said, Duji understood that the Du family was a big business empire. If it wasn't a particularly popular thing, Fei Yang would not hear about it. Since the other party had already heard it, it meant that this thing was definitely not popular. Phew. Duji's face also became serious. What consequences will this have? Have you heard about zombies? People who are eroded to death by yin qi will have a high probability of transforming into corpses. What do you think? If this is specially designed by others, what will this person do with these zombies? Shen Yun, he said while leading Duji forward. Who could be so vicious? This is so many lives. Fei Yang, who was listening next to him, couldn't help but sigh. If he heard this before, he would have thought it was nonsense, but now Duji can practice, and nothing can happen. Who knows? You still haven't seen too much. In the eyes of some people, other people's lives are not worth caring about. As long as they can achieve their own goals, it doesn't matter if more people die. They will die anyway. It's not him. Shen Yun wasn't sure who did this, but he had only seen the yin gathering talisman on it at Boss Fu, so it was familiar to him. But looking at the two people in front of me, it's better not to talk to them, lest I drag them into this muddy water and endanger my life. It's still my fault. Fei Yang, Please go and arrange things and arrange for people to collect this kind of cloth flags from all over Hong Kong City. By the way, what should I do with the collection? Du Ji said to Fei Yang next to him, and then asked Shen Yun next to him. Burning with fire is the fastest way. These formations are all ordinary formations without injecting spiritual energy, so they are easy to deal with. If these things were made by cultivators, then this place would probably have become a dead city long ago. Okay, I'll find someone to handle it right away. After Fei Yang said that, he walked directly towards the shop opposite. Did he just go over and ask others for it? Shen Yun was a little confused about the way people from Hong Kong did things. If you were in the mainland and you asked for someone else's sign, you would definitely think you were here to ruin business. You can rest assured that Fei Yang will do things. Du Ji was very confident. After a while, Shen Yun saw Fei Yang walking out with a smile like a boss. The boss actually went up and took off the cloth banner and gave it to Fei Yang. Boss, I'll give this to you. Just keep what you said. I won't install this anymore, so I'll give you 50 yuan, asked the store owner. Of course, we are from the Du Group. You can tell the shop owner next to you, bring the banners from their shop, bring the certificate, and promise not to use this thing again, and you can get the money, Fei Yang said straightforwardly. Pay money. Is this the power of banknotes? Shen Yun had never thought that there was such an operation. It was also the first time in his life that he saw someone using money to hit people. Of course, this is the most labor-saving and fastest method. The Du family is not short of money, so I will take care of this matter. Du Ji, who was standing next to him, also agreed with Fei Yang's approach. Such an inhumane handling method was something that Shen Yun had never thought of before. Sure enough, when Shen Yun watched Fei Yang walking this way, the shop owner over there directly called the waiter next to him to walk towards a shop with cloth banners hanging not far away. Master, I brought the sample here. This is the lady's opinion. If you follow this later, it will definitely be correct. Fei Yang put away the cloth banner directly. You plan to charge 50 yuan each from now on. Even if I don't do business, I know that you are losing money. Shen Yun looked at the two people and had to say that it looked a bit like a stupid person with too much money. Of course not. If there are too many things, they are worthless. This is something that all children know, Fei Yang said matter-of-factly. Well, Shen Yun has finally seen how other people do business. In this way, we will handle the follow-up of the matter. Don't worry, Hong Kong City is where I live. I will definitely not watch her become what you said. I also know a lot of people. This matter does not matter to our Du family. If we can't do it alone, I can work with others. Du Ji made a solemn promise. Okay, I will believe you for once. If that's the case, I will go and do my own things. Shen Yun felt that there was not enough time. After all, the Fu family has grown so much. Who knows if the research institute is already there? A certain corner of the world is starting to harm people. It makes me feel uncomfortable if I let it stay in this world for just one more second. I need to improve my strength quickly to avoid another unexpected encounter that day, like Boss Fu this time. Let him run away. What else do you have to do? I don't even have time to treat you to a meal. I met you in my hometown for saving my life. It would be shameful not to have a meal. In this case, if you have anything else to do, tell me and see what I can do. Can't you help? Du Ji looked at Shen Yun, who was determined to leave and didn't know what to do. For an expert like her, giving money seems too cliché. Isn't this an insult to her savior? Giving things feels too superficial. Now I have nothing to repay, I can only treat you to a meal, the other party doesn't have time yet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 169. Of course Shen Yun didn't know about Duji's sorrow at this moment. If he knew, this matter would be easier to handle. Although she is a cultivator, she is also a layperson. The two of them are not very familiar with each other, so she can accept money or other things. It's a pity that she didn't know this at this time. Looking at the sincere look on the other party's face, he said, "Well, you can help me find someone. You know the boss of the Fu family. If you find out where he is, let me know." "Okay." Shen Yun thought that he couldn't because I couldn't find Boss Fu. I stayed in Hong Kong City. There were still many things waiting for me to do in the mainland. It was almost half-term since school started, and I didn't even show my face. How could I still graduate early? There is also the matter of the Shen family's cultivation. I was in a hurry last time when I went back and didn't have time to talk about it. I haven't given the cultivation method yet. This is a top priority. Fu family, why did the Fu family offend you again? Du Ji asked doubtfully. Don't you know, Fang Qin's boss is Boss Fu, Shen Yun said doubtfully. He was so rich and didn't even know which family member had harmed him. Is this person really reliable? You mean the Fu family is Fang Qin's boss? Du Ji asked with certainty. Of course, I was brought there personally by Fang Qin. By the way, Fang Qin is dead now. The grudges between you and her can be considered settled. Shen Yun thought about it. Du Ji seemed to say that Fang Qin coveted his beauty. Because of sex, he took people to the underground spiritual mine and made a drama of sadomasochism and deep love. This will remind you of Fang Qin's consequences, she kindly reminded. There is no grudge between me and her. We have a grudge. Du Ji was unhappy when Shen Yun said this. He felt it was a shame to put it with that woman's name. Okay, no matter what it is, it's over now. But her boss has run away and I can't find his people. Please help me pay attention here. If you see someone, just ask someone to go to the mainland to send me a message. Don't go up by yourself, this person is very powerful. If you go up by yourself with such a small body, you may be dead, Shen Yun reminded. Okay, I know my abilities and I will definitely not act rashly. I will cherish my life after finally saving it. After all, I may not be so lucky to meet you next time. Du Ji nodded. Although he now knows that the collaborator behind his uncle Tang Suoan may be Boss Fu, but Shen Yun said that powerful people, even if he hates them, he will wait until his strength is reached before taking action. After passing through the spirit mine, he is no longer the impulsive and irritable boy he used to be. By the way, do any of you named Du have the name Du Chueo? Remind him to be careful lately. The person named Fu wants to arrest him now. It's a complaint made by a person named Tang. Shen Yun suddenly remembered what he heard at Fu's house before. The information he received was all surnamed Du, so he treated the other party as a reward for helping him find out the information surnamed Fu. As for the eye contact between the two people next to him, he pretended not to have seen it. Thank you for reminding me of this matter. I will deal with it when I get back. Du Ji didn't say anything. The name is just a code name. What outsiders know is your big name. As for your nickname, of course, only people who have good friendships can know it. Okay, in this case, I won't waste time here. I still have things to do. You really can't help with this. When there is news here that day, you can just ask someone to go to the building next to Pengcheng railway station in the south. Just talk to me on the 19th floor. If there is anyone I know, they will inform me. Shen Yun has no plans to have dinner with him. She has entered the foundation building stage for a long time, and it will not affect whether she eats or not. What? In the end, Du Ji didn't invite him to the meal. Seeing Shen Yun leave without looking back, he felt a little helpless. Why was it so difficult to repay a favor? I'll give you the gift of saving my life. Master, your face is still good, don't give up. Fei Yang, who was standing next to him, saw Du Ji looking longingly at Shen Yun who was leaving, and joked next to him. Du Ji seemed to have an idea for a moment. This was a good idea, but his current strength was still weak. People were looking for evenly matched people for marriage, and he was obviously not within the other party's choice. You still need to improve your own strength first. Fi Yang, let the whole world search for the ore I brought back. Du Ji immediately ordered Fi Yang again. Okay, young master, I will take care of this matter, but according to what the young lady just said, your situation is very dangerous now. Let's not wander outside. I will handle the matter of the cloth banner, and it will be burned by then. Your main thing now is to improve your strength and secure your position as the group boss, otherwise it will not be easy to do anything you want to do, Fi Yang reminded at the side. Let's go back to the old house now. Du Ji didn't sit around outside and got into the car directly, and the two of them started to drive back. After Chen Yun handed over the matter, he happily flew towards the mainland with his flying sword. The target was very clear. The location of the spirit mine. I hope Fu Wen would be smarter and not be caught by the people from the special department so quickly. Otherwise I would not be happy. She rushed forward as fast as she could. Soon we arrived at the Lingxi mine. Before the heavy cloud fell, I saw some people coming in and out of the Lingxi mine. At first glance, the situation did not look like that of Fu Wen and the 10 cultivators he brought. Shen Yun found a place to get down, and then walked directly over there. Sure enough, he was right. He was indeed an employee of the special department here in the south. This meeting is transporting the dead body out from inside. As soon as Shen Yun walked inside, he saw the strong man he had seen at the front desk of the special department here that day. His eyes were also very good, and he directly saw Shen Yun. Hey, you're back. Hurry up. Your 3 brothers are pestering our boss to death. Please ask our boss to find you every day. You also know that it's hard to intervene, but the boss has already dragged someone he knows to inquire. I didn't expect you to come back now. Hurry up and rescue our boss from your brother. The strong man couldn't wait to drag Shen Yun. Walk towards the old dilapidated office building. When did you come here? Did you meet anyone else? Shen Yun was not worried that the other party's boss would be annoyed to death. After all, Shen Yun had never seen such a way to die. When your brother came to look for us, we came here knowing that you, Team Yan's trump card, had been taken away. Our phone calls were all over the place, and the boss had no choice but to switch to work here. It has been 4 or 5 days since I arrived. The strong man complained as he walked. Thank God you're back. Otherwise, I'm really afraid that if your brothers don't fight, Team Yan will go there personally, and it will be a bad thing if there is a dispute. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 170. Chapter 170. Chapter 171, 170, It's too dangerous here, let's go back to our hometown. Hong Kong City is a bit special after all, and if you want to cause trouble, you can't do it there. The two of them walked quickly, and when they arrived at the service point here, they saw Chu Yishan sitting on the side, busy, and the 3 brothers who were like ants on a hot pot. They were all unshaven, as if they had been wandering outside for a long time. My sister said I can come to you. It's been a few days. Otherwise, we don't need you to go over. Can you let the 3 of us go over? Shen Jian was very anxious. He was left in the village in the city that day. I haven't seen Shen Yun again. We came out together. If we don't go back together, what should I say when my family members ask? Besides, now that his 2 brothers are cultivators, it is still reliable to go out to find people. I said, we will handle this matter. You 3, just stay well and don't cause trouble. You can't even defeat me, so you want to go to Hong Kong City to find someone. Do you know where that place is? Chu Yishan said it's enough to deal with these 3 for a few days, and this will still be the same old story. There are a few people who are very frustrated. Chu Yushin will not care about them here, but once they want to go out, they will be thrown in directly and cannot be beaten. It is so frustrating. Boss, we're back. The strong man's voice was like a fairy voice, saving this stiff office. Who's back? Chu Yushin raised his head and looked outside. I saw the petite girl following the strong man. Who was it? Not Shen Yun. Look, you sisters are back. Get out and stop bothering me. Chu Yushin felt that he could finally be clean and pure. Several people turned around and saw that it was Shen Yun. They immediately let go of the impatient Chu Yushin and rushed towards Shen Yun. Yun Yun, are you okay? Sister, are you okay? Several people gathered around Shen Yun and looked up and down. Seeing Shen Yun's face rosy and uninjured, he breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully you're okay, otherwise neither of us would be okay. The burden in Shen Hong's heart was finally put down. Shen Yun was involved all because of himself. If Shen Yun was brought into trouble again, he would not be able to feel at ease for the rest of his life. Okay, it's okay, you guys are okay too. Shen Yun confirmed the thoughts of several people. It's okay, that's it? It's too dangerous here. Let's go back to our hometown, Shen Hong said in a rare initiative. He was the eldest here and he just wanted to take his younger brothers and sisters back safely. It's a test of mentality here. Don't worry, I still have things to do. By the way, what about the third child? How to deal with it? Have you met the people who will manage the Lingxi mine later? Shen Yun has not made trouble for Fu Wein yet, but we can't leave so easily. He didn't know where the research institute was at the moment, but Fu Wein couldn't let him go so easily now. The third child was dealt with by us, but we told the people inside the whole story, and they didn't pursue our trouble. After dealing with that person, we ran away with the others. We didn't see him coming from behind as you mentioned. But we went to the address you gave us immediately after we got back, and they came over the same day. I don't know if we met anyone else. When did they come here? Shen Yun asked, pointing to the people working outside. 4 days ago, several people said without thinking. According to this, after Fu Wein and the others came over and saw someone here, they would definitely not wait stupidly here to hit the head of the special department. At most, 2 people are left here to see what's going on behind them. As for the location of the other few people, if Shen Yun guessed correctly, they probably went to look for clues about the spiritual mine. Those ordinary people who escaped from the spiritual mine alive people are their targets. Thinking about this situation, Chen Yun directly released her spiritual consciousness and began to investigate. Now that she has perfected the foundation establishment, she is no longer the same person as she was during the Qi training period. Now her spiritual consciousness can reach a distance of several thousand meters. In addition, he often made elixirs, and there was a spiritual nourishing tree in the space. According to ancient books, Chen Yun's spiritual consciousness had reached the nascent soul stage. Most people have just started to practice now and have not yet deliberately cultivated their spiritual consciousness. They are definitely not as good as Shen Yun. It didn't take Shen Yun long to find 2 sneaky people not far from the Lingxi mine. These 2 people had been seen by Boss Fu somewhere. Shen Yun went over and kicked the 2 people out. After he defeated the person, Shen Yun began to ask, "Where is Fu Wein now?" Shen Yun asked the people in front of him. In the largest hotel in the city, he said that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Mainland China now attaches great importance to investors in some port cities. We live there in the name of investors. There will be no short-sighted people. They went to check on us. As for the others, we have been keeping an eye on them here for the past 2 days to see if there are any more spirit stones in the spirit stone mine. We don't know the situation over there. We have told you what you know. We are your subordinates and have never offended you. You might as well let us go. The 2 of them feel extremely unlucky. Ever since they started practicing, they have never been beaten so badly. Today, Two people were keeping a close eye on them, but a woman came out and beat them up. Know if you are sick. How come Fu Wen, this unlucky guy, even offends women from mainland China? He usually looks like an honest man, but he doesn't know that he can offend him badly when he offends her. This feeling is even scarier than the boss's aura. After getting the information he wanted, Shen Yun did not hesitate. He directly picked up the two people and threw them in front of Chu Yushin. These two people were sent by the original owner of the Ling mine to keep an eye on them. You can handle them as you watch. They probably want to stealing state property should not be done lightly. After hearing Shen Yun's words, Chu Yushin looked at the pitiful looks of the two people in front of him and understood in an instant that these people must have offended Shen Yun and must be dealt with properly. The Lingxi mine is an important non-renewable resource for the country. These people are stealing from the country. Important assets, don't worry, these two people can't go back, Chu Yushin said with certainty. Then I can rest assured and won't disturb you. I just found out from these two people that they have a few accomplices who are wreaking havoc in the city. In this case, I will go over and deal with it quickly to avoid them. Those shady little plans were successful. After Chen Yun finished speaking, he didn't stay here any longer and walked directly outside with his three brothers. Originally, Chu Yushin said he was going to find a car to take them away, but when he came out, he saw a few people running faster than rabbits. Forget it, let them go on their own. Shen Yun was there anyway, so it was probably others who were in danger. You'd better call Yan Han and let them know that the rebels over there are back. End of this chapter.